Hi guys, how's it going? It's Orit here. Welcome back to another Biz Tips Tuesdays. I recently watched a video on the 7 habits of highly effective artists, and it was a talk by Andrew Price at the Blender conference. Now, blender.org is a site, it's actually a website that offers free and open source software to anybody who's doing animations, rendering, compositing, video, modeling, all that kind of stuff. It's absolutely free. I'll put the link down in the description below. And I'll also put the link to this talk that I watched. But I wanted to bring those specific points that Andrew touched upon in his talk about 7 highly effective habits of artists, because I really connected with what he said, and I highly agree with what he's saying, and I want to bring that information to you. So he touched upon 7 things that really helped him excel in his own work when he first started out drawing. He's a drawer. The first thing that he talked about is daily work. So the first habit for a highly successful artist is to work on your craft daily. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to create a new masterpiece every single day. It just means that if you can set aside a certain amount of time each day to sit down with yourself and make one little step towards creating your next piece of work, then that will count towards your art and will really help you improve. For him, he said that he would sit down and his goal was just to do one line. So one line with a pencil and paper on his sketch pad. And sometimes it would be like a couple lines and then he wouldn't want to work on it anymore, but at least he got some of that done. And then sometimes he said he would start with that one line, just one line, and then ended up being an entire sketch ahead of him. So daily work is really important. The second habit of a highly successful artist is volume, not perfection. So he was talking about creating your work, and he was saying that, and I can completely identify with this, is sometimes you will spend hours and hours and days, even months on one piece of work because you are so focused on making it perfect. But if you just continue to produce work, not trying to be perfect, but just putting yourself in your work and continue to produce volume, then eventually you will hit that moment of 1 or 2 pieces of artwork that will just really connect with people and it will become a hit. So I can identify this with my own music because I would spend so long creating one song just to make it absolutely perfect. And it would prevent me from creating more. And the more you create too, right, you improve in your own art. So I was limiting myself from that improvement, from becoming a better artist myself. So what I did for myself was put a publishing schedule ahead of me. So saying every single week I will sit down to create one new song. I'm going to find the song and I'm going to write lyrics to it. I'm going to record it and then put it up on my YouTube channel. So if you have something like that, you're kind of creating an obligation for yourself to live up to this standard, you will naturally have a system that you will need to produce work on a consistent basis. So try something like that for yourself. There will be weeks, and don't slap yourself over the head for this, but there will be weeks where you don't produce that extra piece of work that you wanted to. And it might take you the second week to release that piece of work, or the third week. That's okay. Just what's important is to always come back to that schedule that you've created for yourself and to always strive for one new piece of artwork every single week, or whatever it is that you set for yourself. Number 3, he talked about stealing as the third habit of highly successful artists. And I thought this was really interesting, but he basically said that, we idolize people, we look up to these artists, that we see their work and we're so inspired and we idolize them, and we think that they're just completely naturally born that way to create art like that. But in fact, they have been curating in their minds pieces of work that they've experienced that they really liked to emulate, and then they put their own spin on it. So he says, whenever you see pieces of work that you really, really love, so this could be for any profession that you're in, if you're a writer, a singer, a painter, anything like that, if you see pieces of work that you really love, save it to your computer. I use a tool called Evernote, evernote.com. I'll put the link down in the description below. But it really allows me to make notes, and to, if I hear a song, I'm going to type out the artist name and the name of the song and write a note about why I really connected with that song. And then when I'm back to creating my work, I can listen back to these pieces that really inspired me and ask the questions of, why did this inspire me and how can I implement this in my work? So don't be afraid to do that. Number 4 is conscious learning. So he talked about improving your work as an artist is really important to becoming a highly successful artist. But he talked about learning on purpose. And this is something that I always talk about in my videos, right? You always need to have a specific purpose and intention in mind. What is it that you really want to get good at? Is it writing new songs? Is it taking black and white photos? Is it painting in a certain technique, a certain style that you really want to master, or writing more stories? Get really specific, and then take the steps to learn more about that specific thing. So essentially, practice on purpose. Don't just practice. Because we always hear the saying, practice makes perfect, but really purposeful practice makes perfect. Habit number 5 of highly successful artists is rest. So highly successful artists take breaks from their work, and especially during those times where they're working on something and they're not sure where to take it next, or they're frustrated, or they're not sure about it. This is a time to just put the work aside, take a break, and come back to it tomorrow or the next day or even next week. But just put it aside and keep moving forward with newer things. A lot of highly successful artists, they'll take these periods of rest and they'll come back to their work with a new perspective, and they'll see it from a new light, and they'll see how they can specifically improve it better. So make sure you incorporate those periods of rest in your work as well. Number 6 is to get feedback. Now, this can be a really scary thing for a lot of artists and creative entrepreneurs, but it is so important, because it allows it, first of all, it gets the perspective of other people to really tell you the truth, and you want to receive that honest feedback. So make sure that you ask for the truth. And when you're getting those new perspectives, you're better able to see how you can improve your work. He said this is what really separates the average artists from the superstars, is that they are open to criticism, and when they receive it, they implement it and they take action on it to make it better. And habit number 7 of highly successful artists is that they create what they love. You have to work from a place of loving what you do and your creations. Well, sometimes we don't like what we create because we get in the way of ourselves and being self-critical and everything. But the fact is that we love the process of it. That's what's most important, because this serves as intrinsic motivation to move past those roadblocks when we come across those obstacles of doubt, of fear, of moving forward in our careers. There's enough red tape in the world already. So, from your boss, from your parents, from your family, from friends, from organizations, don't create more red tape for yourself. Art is one of the very few fields that you have no limitations. And it's only the limitations that you impose upon yourself that will limit your own work. So work on what you love and keep working at it. So those are the 7 habits of highly effective artists that Andrew Price shared in his talk. Again, I highly recommend that you watch that talk. I'm going to put the link in the description below. He goes into more detail about each one and really referencing other highly successful artists and how they incorporated each of these seven habits. So make sure you go watch that and let me know what you thought about this video. If you liked it, give us a thumbs up and also leave me a comment down in the description below. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel for more great stuff coming your way, guys. We love creating these videos for you. All right, guys, well, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.
Back from the dead.